Hey, Misha here.
And Fox.
And it's funny, several asked us about the Lynx 12, and you've actually had one. When did you buy that?
I bought this in 2021, right at the beginning of the year. So
Gotcha. And that's the it's the Lynx 12 something 3G.
Yeah, on the gun it's SDS Lynx 12 3G. I think it's just 3G because it says 3G.
Okay, I thought there was something else like LR. Anyway, it's the competition model, which according to Chat GPT is made in Turkey.
It is,
it's not made in Turkey.
But it clearly says here, Hubuji, made in China.
China, Turkey.
China, Turkey.
Anyway, so people have asked, so this has been in the pipeline, so we thought it would be fun. And before we were shooting yesterday, he had never actually seen my Saiga 12 here. This is the SGL 1294, the folding stock model that was briefly imported by Arsenal Fime before 2014 and all that kerfuffle. So we're going to go back in time and let him see this for the first time, and we're going to shoot both of these with different mag types, different ammo types, and see if that Lynx is just as good, because in past Q&As and things, that's kind of the impression you've given, is that Lynx is as good as a Saiga. So let's see how the range day bears out. And before we cut over to that footage, as always, please do like, share, subscribe. You know, channel interaction, very important these days. And if you'd really like to help, $1 up a month on Patreon helps so much and is very appreciated. And we're working on this year more perks and more things, including live streams and maybe even some merch.
And some guest appearances.
Yes. So with that, let's go slightly back in time to the range at the cabin. First shots out of the Lynx with Federal. Goes quick. Now Fox with the Lynx. Was that the same ammo?
Actually, I used the Winchester target.
So, handing Fox the SGL 12 for the first time. Thoughts?
You can definitely see the quality on it. You can see and feel, and this charging mechanism, or I mean the bolt, the speed on that is unbelievable. So the quality is first noticed right there. The gun feels a lot better as well. Something about these hand guards seem to be cut a little bit better than the Chinese Lynx.
I did notice that the checkering is deeper.
Yeah, it's a lot deeper. First impression, the tightness of everything is definitely there, and that trigger seems a lot more well grouped, a lot more well put together. Safety release is also not near as stiff, and the trigger is very enjoyable.
So let's see how a gun meant for 3-inch Magnum runs shit ammo. Now that Federal and the SGL. Now Fox is going to try the Winchester and the Saiga.
Super target. See what we got. It was a lot of rapid fire. Failure to eject, but...
Is it on the last round?
Nope. We got 2 more. Here we go. Going back. There, they both dumped out. Let's load it back up.
Winchester, take 2.
Same thing. It's just not ejecting it all the way, so let's throw it in.
That was the same stuff that wasn't doing well in the M4, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Benelli hated it.
Yeah. To be fair, the Lynx would eat it, at least once it did.
Yeah. Well, and these are new mags, so...
You know what you did? Let's try putting that in the Lynx mag and try that in the Saiga.
Yep.
So Winchester out of the Chinese mag, but in the SGL 12. We're mixing it up.
See if it's a mag issue or a ammo issue. Oh, not. Ran it just fine. So
intermission here for the shooting. You know me, I can't resist a little history. The Saiga was an interesting development. It was one of the earliest products that, well, it was Izhevsk, became Izhmash after the fall of the Soviet Union when they were trying to be more commercial. And they developed a 12-gauge hunting shotgun, along with a 20 and a 410 and others, for, well, hunting, competition shooting, the new markets in Russia. Because in Russia, owning a smooth bore is a lot easier than owning a rifle. And depending on which source you ask, it's either 93, 95, or 97. These were first released. And it wasn't long before we started seeing them in America. But the earliest ones were the Hunter version. They had the trigger group in the back. They had Hunter stock. But otherwise they looked pretty much like this. Same forearm, same threaded barrel. And those are imported by a number of companies, including RAA. Arsenal, in later Fine, would get into the game much, much later. You know, they had the SGL 21s and 31s. But they get into shotguns. What really helped this out was in 2011, there was a big deal about shotguns, and the ATF re-examined the Saiga, a detaching mag shotgun. Everyone thought they're going to ban them. They're going to ban them. Not only did they not ban them, they actually decided, hey, this pistol grip, it's a sporting feature. So by 2012, we started to see shotguns coming in, the Lynx included, later on. They could have a pistol grip. So that's pretty cool. And it meant we could have more standard versions. This is my SGL 1294, 94 meaning the folding stock. The standard SGL 12s, like the 01, looked very similar, but they just had a fixed buttstock and a standard rear trunnion. This is the 8-round mag. They usually ship with a 5. That's more the hunting mag. The 8's more the military police mag. And these, even though they were made for hunting and sporting, they did see some use by Russian special forces, Russian police, and even a little bit of export. But really they would lead to the Vepr 12, which is the more advanced version. And there is a more advanced version of the Saiga 12, but very few of those came in America, and they take different mags. But this is kind of where it all began. And this is basically a US version of the Saiga 12K. The K had the folding stock and a shorter barrel. So yeah, the 12K folding stock short barrel. This one has an 18 some change. Some say 18.5, some say 19. The Russian version typically is 17, although there are some variants that are down to 14. The original Saiga 12 had more of a 22-inch barrel and a fixed stock, and the Saiga 12S had the longer barrel, but this AK-74M inspired folding stock, but it's different because of the rubber butt plate, and of course it has the latch up here. That's pretty much it. In Russia, 8 rounds is pretty much as big as it goes, although I've heard reports maybe there are some 10-round mags made over there, probably by a third party like Puff Gun. And of course these are chambered primarily for 12 gauge 3-inch Magnum, but 2 3/4 will work too. And they take a lot of standard AK parts, but also a lot of specialized parts because, well, it's a freaking shotgun. But there's a whole family to them, and they have proven very diverse, very customizable, and that's why they've kind of earned themselves a place in the market. With that, intermission over, and back to the range. So, Lynx, Winchester, and Russian mag.
There we go. Looks like it caught it there just again on that failure to eject.
So yeah, I'm gonna say not that those are bad mags, but maybe they're not.
A little break-in.
Little break-in, or they're just, the springs aren't quite right for that type of ammo.
I'm gonna clear it out. It was on the last one there.
Yeah, and when it did it on the Saiga, it was towards the bottom of the mag too, not the top. So Lynx with the Russian mag, and it was a tight fit, but it is a new mag.
Oh, push forward just a little bit more.
That. Let's see if it wants to go forward.
There you go.
It did. Ready. If I'm not staying on a hill. Clear. So, Lynx, Russian mag, now with Federal.
The good stuff.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That's running a lot better.
So now back to the SGL, Russian mag with Federal.
Hot take. What's the noticeable difference between the Lynx and the Saiga?
Right side versus left side charging. Not like we were talking about, you bought the left side Lynx because it was what was available during the thing. It just throws me off one way or the other, but it's fine. Recoil wise, they're pretty similar.
They are.
The Lynx might have a tiny bit more. It seems like the Russian cycles a little faster.
I'll agree.
And mag fitment is definitely better in the Russian, but, you know, Russian mags, what do you expect?
True that.
Now I have a question for you.
Okay.
Did you notice this was a folding stock?
I did. I almost hit the button.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yep.
A little bit more tuck it away, stow it away, and you have the
nice little pad.
Flash hider out there on the end, which is quite nice.
Put one on yours.
Yep. Perfect.
All right, back to the Lynx. We kind of did a mix and match of both Winchester and Federal in the Russian mag.
Ooh. It did perfect until it got to the last Winchester cheap round. So
yeah, I think it's just that something with that ammo and that mag.
The last shot.
Nope.
Yeah, see here on the camera, it would not eject it. Cool.
Emptying the box with the Lynx.
Starting to run pretty smooth now.
That was Federal. So all in all, a pretty successful range day.
It really was. It was, well, you know, I've kind of been on you about shooting the Lynx and comparing these two together for a little bit.
Yeah, and you really like the Vepr 12 we did a while back.
Yeah, no doubt. It was something I've been looking forward to. And I gotta say, they were both really reliable.
Yeah, and I think we kind of just proved, at least nominally, that the deal was more this style of mag doesn't seem to like the Winchester low brass, because that mag didn't have trouble, and this gun didn't have trouble with that mag in it.
Yeah, Winchester is, we all know how finicky and just...
Oh, yeah. I was shocked it ran in either one.
Yeah, it won't even run in the Benelli. So.
Yeah, so I think, and I did look, that the feed lips are very similar on these two mags, but they are slightly different. So I think it's just the shell was catching and dragging more on the Saiga mag.
Yes, I agree.
Now, one thing I wanted to point out that we didn't mention at the range, the Saiga has a 2-position gas port, gas regulator. It's intended for either 3-inch or 2 3/4, but that gun, at least the competition one, maybe all of them do, seems to have a 4-position.
Yeah.
And do you know which that's set on?
So some of the guys in the comment may actually know, guys and gals. I have it set on the way it came, because from what I read on some forums was the way it comes from the factory on setting 1, just leave it to break it in. That could be something that you guys can give me some more details on. So I'm assuming it's setting 1, which is how it came. They said 100 rounds.
Probably wide open or close to it.
Yeah.
So that might explain why it's a little more forgiving of lighter ammo. But again, this gun did better than I expected with the Winchester.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And this gun really isn't even broken in. I've probably got 150. I think yesterday probably put us to the 200 round count. So. And
as we pointed out, this one, it's got more of a spring. Let's swap it out here.
Yours has so much. Everybody will be able to see the drag that the Lynx has.
This is
clunky.
Well, it's a lighter pull. Like
it is a lighter pull. You could replace that spring though. And keep it. So for everybody watching that hasn't held one of these, the Lynx has more of a slower lag, slow motion speed. And you can really see that whenever it's going to throw in the first round. But I know on the Vepr here, it is
Saiga,
it is extremely, extremely fast. It's almost like an AK.
And that gun, while it's not a super high round count, it's 500-600 now. I mean, I've had it a while, because they banned them in 2014, so it's been since then.
Well, even that, I mean, this feels like if you were to just charge it, it feels like you're charging like a legit AK, not a 12 gauge. You wouldn't be able to know.
And this doesn't feel bad. Now, one thing I will say, and it's a quirk of the Saiga design, at least except for some of the real late ones, is loading a full mag, because there's not a mag weld. These are rock and lock in.
Right.
So really you have to hold the bolt back, which is why they all have a manual hold open. I do like this left side charging for making that easier to do, because on that gun you kind of have to...
You've got to treat it like the traditional, okay, you're going to give it the under reach.
Yeah.
Versus, and kind of going back to that being left-handed. So I bought this kind of, I guess you could call it still when the COVID...
Oh, it definitely was.
Pandemic was very high, and I wanted to get one before...
You realize you just demonetized us.
Really?
I don't know. I think people claim that you couldn't say those things forever on YouTube, but I don't know how much that...
Well, just makes it that more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I picked it up for significantly cheaper compared to the standard version.
Which is funny because this is actually $100 more.
It was $100 cheaper at the time.
But yeah, on there, I looked last night, and the G, because this is meant to be the 3-gun version.
Right.
I would actually do it because I do like this, and that kind of leads us into the scope mounting. You know, that one's got a standard side mount with the totally removable top cover, and this one has more of a Vepr style pick rail on the top cover that hinges. So it actually reminds me of a Vepr. And the reason they did that was because with this side charger, you can't really do that. But they also did more of a Vepr style extended, enlarged
and I will
safety.
Say that I like the enlarged safety better.
I do too.
You've got a lot more position for your pointer finger or your thumb.
But you could just take that one off and
for sure.
put one on.
Actually,
you know what's funny? I've got a spare Saiga 12 safety because of that whole KUSA put in the. I really do. I've got a spare extended. I might put it on there.
Put them in the wrong box.
Yeah, they fixed it. They gave me the right one for the KP 104. So I've got a spare shotgun safety that does have the shelf.
Yeah, but that's kind of like you said, one thing that you can fix really quickly.
Yeah.
On these.
I like how he also put a Zastava grip on here.
I put the Zastava grip on there. It needed something a little more. For a 12 gauge, man, I've got kind of big hands, and that little stock one wasn't going to cut it. And I do like another thing to note, the Saiga has a lot better foregrips. The cutouts.
Yeah, we kind of
just seem to be a lot more comfortable versus the Lynx they're more braille filling versus
they're soft and the material it's slicker.
Yeah, versus the Saiga has more of an actual cutout. Kind of reminds me of an old school hunting gun.
But the good news is these take standard Saiga forms if you want.
Right.
In fact, Arsenal used to make a adapter that lets you put an RPK handguard on it if you want it.
Oh yeah.
Because the barrel's too wide for regular AK.
My plans would be to trick it out a little more, but
I'm gonna go wood. I think I look sharp in wood.
I think wood would really.
But I do like that it's a 4-position gas system because that's really good for shotguns. Because it's very hard to have a semi-auto shotgun that that will work with everything 2 3/4, 3-inch magnum. Because if you gas it enough for the lighter 2 3/4, you go to shoot 3-inch magnum, you're going to be banging the crap out of your gun.
Well, and I like it, like you said, multiple gas settings. Whether heck, you could even run a can on it and still have that.
Yeah, these both do come with the threaded barrels. This is the regular nut. These are threaded the same, and mine's just got a regular Ishmash flash hider on it.
I will too next week.
Yeah, I got a spare one, and they both have the just simple sights, but it's a shotgun.
Yeah, kind of going back to the dust cover pick rail mount versus the side. I would obviously rather have a pin and welded side mount, but for a shotgun, I'm not shooting past 25
thing too is this
yards.
has a really, I guess it's Parkerized. It's got a kind of a nice coarse finish. That one's definitely paint. Which finish do you like more?
Honestly, I kind of go back to this. I like the Saiga look just a little bit.
The paint,
more.
yeah.
But also, I don't mind that flat, look. And for the price, there's been lots of people in the comments asked about the Lynx. No doubt, like jump on one if you can still find them for under, I don't know, what are they, 400, 450. So
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to talk money, but I think like the basic model's around 4, and this one's around 5. But that could change tomorrow. Probably has. But what I do like is regular Saiga forearm, regular Saiga nut, regular AK grip, regular AK buttstock, and they do take the same mags. Now, the Lynx mags seem to come in 5 and 10 quantities, and the Saigas come in 5 and 8 from the factory.
Right.
But of course, there's aftermarkets galore.
Yeah, aftermarket, which I picked up those 3 mags from you because I'd only been shooting it with
that's why I brought some down. Yeah,
the 4-rounder for quite some time. The Saiga has way more of an AK feel to it.
It does.
It just has more. The Lynx definitely feels more like what I would call a clone AK. It really doesn't even look like an AK. I guess.
Well, and I objectively I know the Vepr 12 is probably a better shotgun, but you remember it's an AK, but that feels more like I think because it's lighter.
There's something
strangely still cool about the Saiga 12.
Very much. It's got like a I don't know. I really feel like the whole build of it and the quality feels like I'm shooting an actual just Saiga 7.62.
You know what's funny? They started they started making those in 95 or 97, depending on which source you ask, and they started coming over not too long after that. I went to a couple of gun shops over in Fort Smith that were carrying the Saiga hunter style, you know, with the hunter stocks.
Yes.
They had the 7.62-39, they had the 223, they had the 410 shotgun, even the 20 gauge.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, this 12 gauge looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you have that? Oh, no one's going to pay $350 for one of those.
Oh, man.
But back then, you couldn't get anything but the 5-round mags. And the only company that was really doing parts to convert one was Tromix. And then later, Carolina Shooter Supply kind of came in. But this whole cottage market popped up around the Saigas eventually.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they were kind of slow burners. They didn't sell well 20 years ago.
And that's something. Now, you can't get enough of them.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the Lynx. No more than what you really have to put in it, and surprisingly reliable it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it shot well. Like, as we pointed out in the shooting clips, it does seem to cycle a little bit slower. Trade you out again.
Yeah. Just a little slower.
And it seems to have slightly more recoil, but of course that could be the gas system setting. I'd like to adjust it a bit and see if that changes the recoil.
It doesn't feel cheap. I'm not going to say that.
No, it does not.
It does feel like a well-built firearm, but also it does have quite a bit more weight, which it seems like that weight's coming from this barrel.
You know what I think it is, and I was thinking about this last night. You know, we did that video you and cousin did, or nephew, about the Panzer, which, by the way, they're helping out a lot, so look for an update, guys. But that, I wasn't super impressed with how it felt, and I think it's because those Turkish factories had no real touch point. They hadn't been building Benellis, they were just reverse engineering. Right. But since this is based on an AK,
right,
and China made AKs, they at least had that kind of starting point.
They did.
They knew how to make a receiver, and I think that's why that feels pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I was really surprised when I'd ordered this, even in the early age of 2021. I expected this to come in and be just a very cheap shotgun. I didn't expect to have something. Oh wow, this has good quality. This was packaged well and be reliable.
What was the first version? There was one that didn't have the pistol grip. It just had like the hunter stock, and it was like the JS.
You're on to something.
The JTS, the JR, something like. No, it wasn't a Lynx.
No,
it was
JTS. That's right.
Yeah, it was another China, or JRS, whatever. It was another Chinese Saiga clone, but it wasn't JTS. A Lynx. Yeah. I wasn't impressed by it.
I didn't like him either. So Mark has one and had brought it over, and it was cool at the time. But,
yeah. I'm not ditching that.
And then they also, JTS made an AR-15 12 gauge as well. So.
And that's another thing too. But there's something about the AK platform that seems better suited to turning it into a 12 gauge. Mm-hmm. And I have not picked up an AR 12 gauge. I've had some that I thought were cool and they shot fun, but I never picked one up and thought, this is going to be around in 20 years.
Well, there's some new companies here in America that are making them, but they're also starting at $2,000 and $3,000.
Okay, fair play.
Yeah. There's some good companies that have popped up over the few years, but I'm not gonna.
I just think the AK is probably the better way to go if you're going to do that. Yeah, well, just in like a platform, because this uses the long straight. Now, I do think the puck system they use is kind of a neat intermediate, but you have that interesting kind of double head rotating bolt.
Right.
It just.
Also on the Lynx, I do like how they have the extended charging handle out here with the kind of the Benelli extended charger.
I do like that left side handle. It kind of reminds me of like an FAL or something. It's but you know what though? You would not want to get knocked by that with your hand.
Yeah, you would not want that to be in the
because it is definitely reciprocating.
That's a tank. and both have their perks on left or right side. I gotta admit, it does take me longer to use my pointer finger here to hold this back than it does actually.
Yeah, because on this one,
yours is a lot easier.
Well, I'd say it's actually harder to hold it back because you gotta, and then you can do it that way, but then you gotta reposition. That one I like because you can.
I just mean for your first initial putting.
I tell you, it really throws you off going one to the other.
No, that does.
Yeah, because that did on the shooting footage. There's once where I'm reaching here on that gun, and yeah, it just
Well, you
kind of.
managed to not put a mag in upside down.
They didn't. That wasn't this gun. They didn't see that.
I was just being smart at it.
Yeah, for that totally, completely real thing that happened, there's a blooper reel I posted on Patreon recently. Check it out.
It was awesome. But
It
yeah,
was.
I do like. I don't know. I like the safety on this. I like the feel. I really do think a lot of that extra weight comes from the barrel on the Lynx. It seems like your barrel on the
I didn't really notice that being.
feels like it's all front end weight.
Well, yeah, man, I didn't notice a whole lot of weight difference.
I don't know. It feels like it's got a little bit more front end heavy. Could just be.
Maybe. I don't know. You do have an optic and a top rail on yours too. That's going to do a little bit. I don't know. They both feel good, but here's the question: just as good?
That's the tough
But
one.
before this video, I think
know.
you kind of thought the Lynx was just as good as the Saiga.
I wouldn't say that I was married to that, but okay.
Engaged.
I engaged in it, but I would not say it's just as good because clearly I knew going in the Saiga was going to be a tighter field gun, and you already have better upgrades. You've got a side fold on it. It comes stock. With
Yeah,
the
no,
brake.
yeah,
I mean,
this is.
there's obviously better features you're going to get that you're paying for. Is the Lynx just as good? I don't know. I bet if I were to put 10,000 rounds through this, we would find out it's not. But for the novice person that bought this simply to have kind of an automatic home defense 12 gauge or just something to have, maybe.
And hunting. I mean, as I said earlier,
sure.
it's the original purpose of even the Russian gun was a hunting gun.
For a hunting gun.
Yeah.
Is it something that I've noticed any hang-ups or being unreliable in the 200 rounds I've put through it? No. But just like my nephew with the Panzer, we noticed issues at 500, 600 round count. So definitely eager to shoot the Lynx a lot more.
But yeah, it didn't really give me any. It didn't feel jangly. It didn't feel like Mr. Bojangles.
No. The only thing that kind of drives me crazy is how slow it is to charge. So I would really like to put a upgraded spring in this.
Yeah, I think that's.
I mean, it's so slow. I feel if it got some grime or dirt in it, it would have a hard time pushing that first round in there.
Yeah, and because it's the left side charging handle, it's got that open. This one, at least, when you put the safety on, it's pretty well sealed up. There's a little gap here, but that one, even when you have the safety on,
It's still got a gap.
It's got a gap, which normally wouldn't matter, but yeah, if something got in there, I don't know, funky things happen.
Funky things happen, and as slow as that is to move forward, I could see that you would have some issues.
You know, the big difference between this and the whole Panzer thing, you know, the Panzer, you can say Benelli M4 or Panzer, both are available. The difference here, the Saiga hasn't been available for almost 10 years now.
Yep.
That is, at least camera is being a diva, it's getting too hot. But either way, yeah, I'm not gonna. Saiga's still cool for being a Russian import, and it took them years to get their just desserts. But I was more impressed. I didn't think the Lynx would be crap, but I was more impressed with it than I thought.
Yeah, I noticed that. Usually, whenever I hand you a clone gun or kind of a
Chinese guns are such a grab bag. Sometimes they do a fantastic job, like their Tokarevs and their 1911s are surprisingly. But then you have I've had so many bad experiences with like their Winchester clones and Ithaca clones that I'm just like, I don't know what I'm getting.
Yeah, this is one that I'm not going to say it's something I'm extremely impressed with, but it's more than the normal for a clone gun.
So basically, I would say to me, because they are very similar in price between the Panzer arms and that, I would definitely get the Lynx 12.
Sure. The Lynx is, well, and it seems to shoot with a little bit less felt recoil as well. And it feels tighter. It doesn't feel like it's going to, I don't know. It doesn't have a lot of internal noises that I would be concerned about.
Well, and if it did, it at least takes AK and Saiga parts, whereas the Panzer takes rather expensive Benelli parts.
That's a good way to look at that.
Yeah, so if something does go foobar, assuming it's not the barrel. Alrighty, guys, well, for our first day, I think it did good. Of course, that's your gun, so I'm sure they'll see it more, and this is mine, and they'll bid it out. But, yeah, I would still take the Saiga because I do like the Russian connection. That's cool. But, of course, I bought this at a time when these were basically as much as those are today.
Yeah.
So they weren't high-end guns back in the day. They were actually the cheaper Vepr.
But you've got one.
Yep.
And I enjoyed shooting it too.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah,
it's
very much.
You'd think I have a Vepr, I would never shoot the Saiga. And again, as I said earlier, the Vepr is objectively better, I'm sure. there's still something about the Saiga that's fun.
It is fun. Something about the Lynx that's kind of fun.
Well, guys, if you have any questions or comments, or if you own a Lynx, or Saiga for that matter, feel free to share your thoughts below. If you could, please do like, share, and subscribe. Channel engagement, very important on YouTube. And as I said at the beginning, $1 and up a month on Patreon helps us out. We just did a Q&A, so there's that. There's blooper to outtakes. There's other stuff we're going to be doing. There's usually kind of direct questions. People sometimes ask me, hey, is this a good buy? They'll email me. We try to give what we can do. But basically, it's a donation. But it does help, and because most of the guns you see are ours in these videos. Yeah. And the ammo is definitely ours.
Yeah, ammo's ours, guns are ours. And ask questions. We like the questions.
Yeah, questions are fun.
They are. Ask questions.
So, any final thoughts?
Thanks for watching. I enjoyed shooting both of these guns. Just as good, maybe.
We picked the best day for the whole week, for sure.
Oh, definitely. It's nasty out.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
This is Misha.
And this is Fox.
We'll catch you very soon next time.